Ookie, Sinatapi! Woohoo! Badass Auntie coming to you from the Blackfeet Reservation. It's Native Wellness Institute. Oh man, oh man, oh man. We got special guests today. Nistu Nidaniko Makoyo Sokoyi, my second Blackfoot name. We're sitting in the middle of the Blackfeet Reservation, 1.5 million acres at the top of Montana. A little north, we're looking north. See that Indian? Indians all over. Indians all over. Is a Butsapikani around Brockett, Kainai, around Standoff, and Sixikai, way up there by Gleason. We're coming to you live. It's a very beautiful, beautiful day. This is the Pagan Institute, started many, many, many moons ago by Daryl Kipp. Daryl Kipp, Roz Lapierre, many others, Joyce Linda Rozier, let's see, Crow Shoe, Shirley. There's so many beautiful, even Diane Bird today, teaching our young people to speak Blackfoot. Daryl had a dream, and he met with the Maori, he met with the indigenous from Hawaii, and he learned what is called the immersion process, our process. We now have over 40 fluent speakers from English-speaking homes on the Blackfeet Reservation. And that's the ground that we're on. But today, the Blackfeet are throwing that colonization yoke off. They done threw it way over there, and they're not going to wear that yoke anymore. We have a special guest. And there is, right as we speak, we're in the midst of filming our versions of the truth. So before I say any more, I want our special guest to introduce himself. He's my cousin. I only put my cousins on the show. If you ain't my cousin, you ain't gonna get on the show. Anyhow, without further ado, this is Craig Falcon, my cousin. I'll let him introduce himself.
Okay. Nistaniko Sipinamaka night gun, named after my great grandfather Wallace Night Gun. I'm here today working with my cousin here. We don't believe in nepotism, we just do it. And of course we're badasses, because look at us, we're ready for war, we're ready for battle, ready to knock off colonization right on its butt. And today we're here, we're doing a docudrama. But I think Theda wants to ask some questions about that, so I'm not going to get into it until she asks me some questions.
Hey.
But hello, everyone. I'm glad to be here and join in this traditional way of life with you and share some of our good blessings and with you.
And we'll just keep the bro in the frame. Hey, look at badass. Anyway, there's dreamers and there's doers. And we have a collective team here that been dreaming, telling the real stories of, pre-contact, contact, all the way up through Lane Bull Treaty, all the way to where we are in 2023. And the progress, no matter what has been happening, we've kept our language, we've kept our ceremonies, we've kept respect for our elders, and man, there's just this undying, unconditional love for our young people. And that's what's happening here. Before I ask those questions, is this documentary or this storytelling. It's about sacred storytelling, so that 10 generations, when we're dead, because we all got an expiration date, right? You got an expiration date. What you gonna do? We got an expiration date, but we're telling the truth now from our perspective, from our ancestors' perspective, and we honor Ngāti Wā Pīsaki, Carol Murray, and her husband, a very sacred man, John Murray, and all of the Ixkanaks, both sides of the border, but the Ixkanaks horns really in the last 6 years have re-emerged in welcoming everybody to the teachings. Everybody. Yee, there's our train. You know, this is a 600 block. You got to be brave to walk in this hood. That's anyway. We look around. They're all our relatives. But my first question is, what are you doing here and why?
Well, we're here today to shoot a docudrama based on the 1896 agreement. They call it an agreement, but it was a disagreement. And the 1896 disagreement is not a treaty, but an agreement that is about the Badger Two Medicine area and the eastern front of Glacier National Park. The Badger Two Medicine area, we've been fighting for decades in courts to stop oil and gas development. It's an area that is over 100,000 acres of wilderness, roadless wilderness, and also Glacier National Park. This film is an educational film for future generations of all the Nisitsitepi people, and these words are going to be captured, so it'll be used in classrooms K through 12 and in our local community college. But it's also going to be used to fight to protect the Badger Two Medicine from oil and gas development in courts in Washington, D.C. Whoever wants to listen and learn the true history, because this film is based purely on the Blackfeet perspective, taken from the notes that were drafted in 1896, the treaty, not the treaty, but the agreement paperwork itself. And we're going to expose some things in there that they're never told, and we're going to expose it in our own Nisitsitepi language, where there's going to be English subtitles, and there's also going to be English speakers in there. It's going to be a very, very exciting piece. This is my first time as a director and as a writer. I wrote the whole thing. So I'm really excited to share this and to open up this door of knowledge for the youth to use for eons and eons when we're dead and gone and dust in the wind. That's it in a nutshell.
I'm listening to these sacred words, Craig, and part of me wants to cry for happy, and part of me has a little skepticism. And that's normal. That's when you're healing, you have normal skepticism, because there's been many stories, told about us, and many people have, made films, and many people have published books, and many people have prospered. And but this prosperity, I've been here a couple days helping with whatever I can, with knowledge, sitting in the background just looking Indian. I just can sit in the background and look Indian anyway, but I feel a good spirit here. And so, can you tell me about some of your team here? Can you describe some of them? You can say their names, because some of these are unknowns and some of them are knowns, but they're here with a good heart, and I hear them saying "Igakima," like we run into all kinds of obstacles, but Indians don't have doubt. They just say "Igakima," try hard. So can you describe some of this team here? Our public out there in Australia, New Zealand, across Canada, and all of our tribes, they also want to be reservation dogs and make their own films. And so describe some of your team and why they're so darn good.
Well, our team, let's start at the top. Our team that funded this entire docudrama is our Blackfeet Tribal Council. They are our only funder. Them and the Blackfeet TIPO office, Blackfeet Traditional Historical Preservation Office, are our funders, our executive producers. We tried to get funding elsewhere throughout this beautiful country, but everybody seems to be on the oil and gas side of things. So we only had one donor, the
Mm.
Blackfeet people, the Blackfeet Tribal Business Council, and I'm so proud of them. We also have some of our tribal council leaders, some of our members that are in the cast itself. Pat Armstrong Jr. and Marvin Weatherwax Jr. And we have teachers, we have professionals from all walks of life. Sui Pixie, Arthur Westwolf, he is a elementary school immersion teacher who teaches our language to the kids in the community. He's been doing it for over 30 years, and he is one of our cast members playing White Calf. And we have young people, really exciting young people that are they're just blossoming as young actors. Leo Kip is one of them, and he is playing the role of Chief Little Dog. And this kid was hired just on the spot at the very first day of shooting, because one of our cast members backed out last minute, and he put his heart and soul into his character, and he is just blossoming as a really experienced actor out of the blue. So I'm really proud of him, and I'm also proud of all of our background actors. We have Barry Bird Rattler. We have Walter Running Crane Jr. And then we have our technical, my business partner, Zadika Morris. He's an excellent aerial cinematographer and editor. Back in the day, he used to work with Donna Summer and the disco era in Amsterdam when he was a music producer. But now he's joined the film world, and we've teamed up to do this documentary for the tribe. And I am just so proud of all of the donations that we've received, like from Darren Kipp, Daryl Kipp's son. He donated this building so we could make it into a set. And the tribe also donated all the properties wherever we wanted to shoot so we could have a set. This film wouldn't be possible without all the donations that we've received just locally in our community. Our community really stepped up because they've seen us as very culturally important, very educationally important, very spiritually important. And with each government administration, whether it's Republican or Democrat, we seem to still have to battle for this, to protect this area. Obama protected it. Trump didn't care. And now Biden, I don't know. I just don't know what's going through their heads. But as Amskapi, Pakani, Nisistapi people, we have to stay strong, and we have to start. The time of passive indigenous people is over. We passed that seventh generation where we're very strong people, very educated people, and we're moving forward in a progressive way. And we're going to take action. There's no more need for non-indigenous directors and writers to tell our story. We have the people right here, right in every indigenous community. We have the people right there with the skills. They just need a little bit of funding to help them make that a reality. Right now we have young groups of a group of 4 young women that are going to be indigenous young female filmmakers, and they're just starting out. And I'm really excited to work for them. I want to share every bit of knowledge that I've learned in the film world with them. So, when I pass on, or I'm senile and I'm sitting there with my diaper on, these kids are going to be making great films.
Heck yeah, heck yeah. Well, thank you. We'll give you a pause of thought. I was thinking about Masinski, badger, and then Two Medicine. Two Medicine, there's a long, we only got an hour, but there's a long story. The story was about when so many of us died of smallpox. Even 1869 here, we had like 2/3 of our people, both sides of the border, just die of smallpox. And so 2 Okans, and those are medicine lodges. One Okan was on the side of the badger, and the other Two Medicine. They put 2 Okans up, and they prayed, and the epidemic subsided. So this badger Two Medicine, on which this film, this story is being told, is at a real sacred time because we, the Blackfeet, even March 2020, we shut our borders. We didn't let anyone from the outside come through. And we were cordial. We just, if we saw them, we stopped them and we escorted them to the exit. We gave everyone, I remember Earl Old Person, 80 years and older, in December of 2020, we gave them the vaccine. And then it was 60 to 80 years old. And I remember walking in, and it makes me cry now because we lost Earl. He was older, but we were walking in, and Earl was what they made us sit 7 feet apart. Well, we used to call it a buffalo length. It's back up one buffalo length. But we would not stand one buffalo length, two buffalo lengths. But we were all sitting in a circle, and we got that first vaccine shot, and it makes me want to cry because when we were walking out, I was walking with Aunt Staniki while my sister Lori and Earl was parked next to us, and he always drove a truck, and he looked over at it, and he spoke in Blackfoot, and then he said he's laughing because he used to have like this laugh, like he'd laugh even when he's emceeing. He goes, you know what, we're gonna live. We're gonna live. And so we're at a time where we are living, and that's what, on this power hour, we want to invite you. This is just our story, but we want all of you to make films. That we love you, Sterling Harjo. We love you, Tasba. We love you, Zahn. We can just keep naming it. We love you. Even from the deepest 50 years ago, with all of the trailblazers that they elevated film for real Indians, and now it's time to do it. And so I just wanted to kind of ask questions of Craig, and ask questions like, Craig, tell us, like, we go in there and you bought your own equipment, you got everything, so you got all your Hollywood stuff. So what do you got? If someone wants to do this, be your own res dog, make your own res dog stories, what do you got to do? Tell us some of the nitty gritty ingredients, and then you guys make film. Dang, go do it. You don't have to wait for the season to open. You just make your own season.
Yep.
Okay, so tell us some more.
All right. Well, in becoming a bright young filmmaker, first thing you got to get is great equipment. So you got to get your audio equipment, your lighting equipment, and your filming equipment. So what I did was I took a big investment out of my own pocket and bought two Black Magic cinematic cameras. Each
is that kind of like a vibrator?
Oh!
Badass auntie were like, whoa, that sounds cool. Oh, I didn't mean to interrupt, so continue.
Yeah, Black Magic. Now I just lost my whole focus. It was so professional. Now it's Kanaka Black Magic. Just sounds so.
Okay, so you need your own audio equipment. Then you need this, and it's not a vibrator. It's a what?
It's a highly professional camera that will give you the shots that you need, that are like what the pros use. The Black Magic's cinematic camera, it runs almost I'd say $2,700 a piece. So I invested like $14,000 in equipment, lighting equipment, sound equipment, even tracks so you can run your camera so it's moving, so it stays nice and smooth and steady, almost like a railroad track, so you can really get the great shots. And I spent the whole year working with an amazing cinematographer named Chivo Lembisky. Emmanuel Lembisky. He won like two, what do you call it? The big awards, the Academy Awards. One for Birdman for cinematography, and one for The Revenant in cinematography. So, in working behind the camera with him for an entire year, I just was a sponge. I picked up every bit of knowledge I could, so I could share it with people back home, youth back home, so they could like I said, make our own films. Because so many times, I've worked on films as a cultural advisor for a lot of films, and
Mm.
each time I would read scripts and get to the point where, they were either being disrespectful or a little bit racist or downright just not doing your research correctly, I would
Mm.
address them on these issues. And with some directors and writers and filmmakers, they would take that information and they would use it to benefit and make their film great. Just like The Revenant, I had a great working relationship with them, and it produced a bunch of Academy Awards. But at the same time, in this film world, I've ran into directors and writers who got offended by being corrected. They
Mm.
always wanted to portray us as these screaming natives that are always painted up, running out of their teepees no matter what, and we're just ready for war and bloodthirstiness. But
Mm.
what I want to do as a filmmaker is to establish us and let the viewers see us as human beings, as real
Ah.
people.
Ah.
That the women are just as equal as the men in our world. It's not a male dominated world. And our children and our grandchildren. It was so nice to have a newborn baby on set the other day, and it just
Ah.
brought a great blessing to the film. It just shows us as human beings. Hollywood has done a great job in making us these stoic savages that have no feelings, no empathy. But it's totally the opposite of that. So, becoming a filmmaker, stick to your guns, stick to cultural integrity, and then protect your cultural integrity, uh, um, indigenous rights. I think
Mm.
there's a law that I'm on that issue alone. That's why when you do films in an indigenous country and you're planning to use deep cultural knowledge, make everyone sign a non-disclosure agreement, meaning that they cannot use that information outside of that film for other things to make money off, because we've been exploited for over 400 years, and that needs to
Mm.
stop now. And as being a indigenous man, an assist to be man, I I am I am a modern day warrior that will stand up and fight for what is right. Been fired off some sets because I spoke out, because I wasn't that token Indian that would just accept a bunch of money just to tell lies and make our people look foolish. So
Mm.
that's my
Mm.
message to you all as becoming filmmakers. Invest, invest in your own equipment, and then
Mm.
go find a great editor like I did, that just works magic.
Yeah, that's wonderful. And I had thank you, Craig. But Craig, where you have to have trust, and when you're building this team, you trust people who they keep their word, or you watch them. And there's, in our culture, Craig, now there's, even when people get transferred knowledge, or they get transferred sacred objects, or they get transferred a responsibility, it's because our elders watch them, our community watches them, and they begin to trust them. So I just want to remind you that what we're building friendships, we're building trust, we're building family. Of course, we all love our blood family. We do stuff for our blood. I mean, look at the nepotism right here, eh? But what I want to ask you out there is, think about how you can build the friendships and the alliances, and make a few white friends. That's We got to start building the alliances. Native Wellness Institute. We got to ally with BIPOC, Black, Indigenous, People of Color. We've got to ally with LGBTQ two spirit. We've got to ally with those who are ready to be a good human being. And so I want to pick your brain, Craig. It's what and it's around, you've mentioned several times that you want to include Native women, or you want to include the women's perspective. And I see you doing that, and I respect that. I see you doing that with your daughters. I see you doing that with their children, your grandchildren. Can you just say, from a Native man's perspective, what kinds of things to the fathers out there, to the other Indian guys out there, what kind of message would you give them?
Well, first off, as an Indigenous man, and I know as growing up, all Indigenous men they have a lot of struggles. They have a lot of struggles since we're so demasculated back in the beginning of reservation days, and that trauma to us has carried over in today, where we have a lot of behavioral social issues surrounding drugs and alcohol. So my message to men is, I was there once, and I got sober, I got clean, and it all started with my identity. By going back to what I was raised doing, being in the in our ceremonies, being at the Akakas every year, and just watching my role models, my grandparents, my parents, teach how to be a good human being in the Nesitzipi way. There's so many things that are there that can save you. And all you got to do is meet Creator halfway, just halfway. And I've done this so many times, meeting him halfway, that he has blessed my life over and over and over. So you young men, don't give up. Just keep on trying. If you mess up, get up, smudge yourself off again. Or take some rose hip water and wash your whole body off, and then move forward again. Keep trying. Igakima. Don't give up, because you know what? Pretty soon, your inner self is gonna be strong, and it's gonna step forward, and that person that was dragging you down is gonna get left in the dust, and you're gonna be a good man. You're gonna be a good father. One thing we need to do as Indigenous men is we got to start recording our elderly women and men. Get their stories. Even if you can't afford expensive equipment, get a cassette player, anything to record them. When I was young, I recorded so many different elders, just their life story, and the amazing things that I came up with that are life lasting from wagons, stories of wagons and people passing on, and birthdays and things like that, our family gatherings. All those things are so important to keep intact, just like our culture. We have our own family culture. And, a lot of times every time it's a shared responsibility between man and woman, because we are equal. And we need to really cherish the females and respect them as sacred beings, which they are. And work with them and take their advice and move forward in a good way to help our communities get stronger. As men, we are protectors of all the people, and looking at our reservations today, boys, we need to step up. There's a lot of work we need to do and step up, because right now, our families, they need help. And, anytime you do something with your children, grandchildren, make sure it's 1, cultural, 2, educational, and 3, in the outdoors, because that sunshine brings in that vitamin D and releases those endorphins, those happy drugs in you, those natural happy drugs that just give you a better sense of life, and they keep you young looking. Look at me. I'm 90 right now.
Yeah. And I'm 95. Yeah. Well, no, thank you. Native Wellness Institute, we started using you a while back, helping us with teaching Indigenous games, and then, but I think a question I wanted to ask you is, I see you're having July 7th, you're having a chicken dance special to honor your ancestors and our ancestors, and you yourself are a chicken dancer. So what is this big thing about chicken dancing in the Blackfoot Confederacy? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I love chicken dancing because it's a mating dance. If you watch your prairie chickens out in the woods, they're courting those girls. So I was told, and correct me if I'm wrong, but I was told this, that and you see a single man chicken dancing. He's chicken dancing all the way around the arbor. Jeez, he's picking out snags, huh?
Hey.
Picking out different new a wife. But you see a man that is married. He only chicken dances in that one spot close to his wife to let the others know that he has such respect for her, that he loves her. That's his mate, and just like eagles, they mate for life. They're together. That's what chicken dancing is about. It's a mating ritual for life, you know. And we're having this chicken dance special on Friday of North American Indian Days for my uncle Gary Nightgun. And right next to that, we're having my mother's red dress special. Red dress special open to women's fancy 18 to 80. And my cousin here is going to be one of the judges. And my mother and father were very quiet, humble people. You know, they would never tell you where they're going, but you just see them there. You know, is in my younger years, I'd be surprised I'd be at this ceremony or this powwow, and they wouldn't know that I was there, but yet I'd run into them sitting there. Oh, hi, here we are. You know, so, you know, my mom loved the fancy dancers, and she really supported our women. She always prayed for our women, and she was always worried about our women and men. It's funny, even till her dying day, we'd visit all the time, either on the phone or in person, if I'm working out abroad. And her last message was always, "Don't you be drinking. Don't you be using any drugs." And I tell her, "Mom, I quit that behavior a long time ago. I'm an adult man. I'm really, really trying to be good." "Yeah, but don't you be drinking." Mother's love never ends, you know. It's always there, no matter what. So I really miss her saying those things.
And you know, in Blackfeet, they never use, you know, European point fingers, because, you know, when you're pointing at someone, three fingers are pointing back, and usually if you're judging them, it's something that you do and you don't like in yourself. So quit that. Use your thumb like him. You know, like when you're saying, "You better not be drinking. You better just behave. You better igakima and wear clean shorts, eh? Wear clean bloomers." Okay, great. Well, we're two goofballs. I'll just have to say our relationship all our life has been teasing, goofing, and just today we were having a discussion about not being too sarcastic, because sometimes it hurts, because it's the truth.
Yeah.
Because it's the Blackfeet will hit you with the truth. And so tell us more about this truth telling with this storytelling in here. Some of you may not know, you know, where this is at, or what the Badger to Medicine is. Tell us more of what you're hoping for to the future generations.
Well, for the future generations, I'm hoping that they protect this area, because this is where creation started. This is where the world began. There's so many stories like a Scarface that happened there. There's so many powerful stories of our beginning, our origin. And when the U.S. government pushed us into this area, they thought they were pushing us into no man's land, but they just pushed us right into Creator's home, right into his breadbasket.
Hey.
So we're in a very, very, it's like the last stronghold that's just so powerful and strong you can't penetrate it. My aspirations and goals is to decolonize what public schools have done to our indigenous youth. I used to get F's all the time for writing the truth. So now I think our country is starting to turn around and starting to see that you can't continue lying anymore. You got to start telling the truth. And the truth ain't hard. It's not an evil thing. It's a good thing. It builds bridges. It brings cultures together. You know, we talked earlier, Theda was saying about, you know, the different races of people and how we need to become one as brothers. That is true. You know, Creator didn't make us to to be divided amongst the other. He made us all the same, just in different colors, different languages, and different ways of talking to him. One of the things my grandfather George Nightgun taught me was, when you look at people today, think of them as a wagon wheel, and Creator is in the center of that wagon wheel as the hub. And those spokes that go around that hub to make the wheel are all the different races in the world. They're all talking to Creator in a different way, but all the same. So that's one thing I want people to remember when they see this film. This is about protecting Creator's way, protecting it for future generations, for all people. This area that we're protecting has over 1,200 medicinal and edible plants in it. It's rich with plants. It's a place where we go and fast, where we pray, where we take our families, where I learned to hunt. It's such a special place. If in your own homeland, you must have places that are so holy you could feel it when you're there. You feel safe. This is one of those places. As the garbage truck goes by, I'll speak louder. But this is why we're here. This is our purpose as this generation. We're older, and we need to express our education to the masses to help all people. This is not just in the Mississippi way. This is Creator's way. Creator's way, and we want to share it with everyone so everybody can be a healthy, productive human being.
Thank you, Craig. I was while you were talking, and I was listening at this Pagan Institute. I would always come to their doings in the middle of the summer. They would have like they would take like the teachings of the dog, the imita. They would do one on the horse. But I remember coming here, and it goes back to your red dress special. I remember coming and hearing, because I heard stories of Pita Maka, and Pita Maka, she had a kami pois minix like this, owner of a stand-up headdress, and I remember when she got her name, Running Eagle. It was Brown Weasel before that, and I remember she would her parents were smallpox casualties, so they left a couple little brothers and sisters, and Pita Maka was only 15, and there were so many orphans, and over time among our people, these orphans, they would other families would take them. And later on, some like Holy Family Mission, 40% of them were orphans. A lot of the residential schools, they were orphans because their parents died. But Pita Maka, she pleaded with her elders. She said, we know how to hunt. We know how to tan hides. We know how to get the medicine plants. She said, let us try to be a family. So she was the head of the household. The boys hunted, the girls kept the household, and they crisscross. They didn't keep just this gender did this gender did that. And then she eventually went out to war, and one of the first stories, like Daryl Kipp at his doings, is they went over west. They used to go and steal horses from the Snake and steal horses from Kootenai. They like to steal. Oh, we don't steal, we just take. Anyway.
It's called capturing. We captured it.
We captured it.
Somebody left that horse out on the prairie and they didn't want it no more, so we captured it.
But they were heading over, and so she wanted to go, Pita Maka. And so she dressed up like a man, and they left in the dark, and so they didn't catch on till it got light. And some of the men they called it a war party. They were saying, no, we can't have a woman, we send her back. But there was a holy man among that group, and that's what's good about our people, is they respect our holy people. They hold them in high reverence. They listen to them. And that holy man said, no, let's let her come with us. I have a feeling she's going to bring us good luck. And so once the holy man, just like John Murray, like Natawa Saki, when they tell us something, you better damn well do it. Because they're closer to Istapatapio, and they know it's for the good of the people. It's not about your ego. It's for the collective agreement and the good of the people. So Pita Maka, when they got close to, they came in the evening. It was she asked all the men. She said, "Well, since you let me come with you, let me earn your respect. Let me sneak in, and if I get killed, promise me you'll take care of my family. Let me sneak in and see what horses I can get." So she snuck in like she was good you're good in the woods when you don't make no sound. And it's almost like if you call to where no one can see you, you shape shift to nothing, eh? And anyhow, she snuck in and she cut the lead of 9 ponies, and she let them out quiet. And when she led them to the men, she told them which way she went in, and she told them how she got the horses. So they went in and they took more horses. And they said that's enough, and they went back home, and because there was no bloodshed. So think about that. No bloodshed, but you still get what you need, and you still honor each other. And then when they returned, that's when they gave her the name Pita Maka. But the last thing I'll say, and then I have a question for you, brother, is she would never marry.
Oh.
And a lot of men asked for her hand, and she fasted. They put her up for fast, and she told them, she said, "I can't marry because I married the sun." She said, "I married the sun." And that's you single mothers out there, you single women, you single grandmas. It's a spiritual commitment when you decide to raise your grandchildren. It's a spiritual commitment when you decide to make a safe house. It's a spiritual commitment when you make good meals. You have laughter. It's a spiritual commitment when you teach people how to make moccasins. It's a spiritual commitment when you teach them how to make these headdresses, eh? Any of backrests, tan hides. And so think about it. You're married to the sun, not Tusi. And that's good enough. But if you want a companion, make a prayer. Ask the Shabbat to bring you a companion that you can share things with. And that's, Native Wellness Institute, our Wellness Wednesday. We want you to be happy. We want you to be happy. So I'm going to ask, because I know this guy's a hunter. I know he goes out, and I know he respects the environment. And the badass auntie does. I'd rather just be outside my whole life. I don't like to sleep in blizzards, but outside. But you know what I mean. Anyway, tell us why do you go out and hunt? What do you get out of there? We were up by Chief Mountain, and we were just in awe. Tell us something about that.
Well, Chief Mountain is a special place as well as the entire mountain front. I was pretty much born and raised hunting. First time I went hunting, I was with my grandfather George Nightgun and old Willie Wells, and we were heading to Livermore. And I was so small that I was standing up on the pickup seat in the middle of them. That was my very first hunt. And since then, I've been taught the traditional way of hunting and how to honor the meat that you're taking, the food that you're bringing home, not to kill, because you're basically going to the woods to grocery shop and keep your family strong and healthy. So, and that in itself is a ceremony. You must prepare, sweat before you go hunting, cleanse yourself really well, cleanse everything you're taking hunting with you. Along with the people that hunt with you, should be in their right mind, no usage of any alcohol or drugs and things like that. And when that animal is down, that ceremony begins for that animal as you're sending them home. You're sending them home, and You're if you're a first time hunter, whether you're a man or a boy, you know, your first kill, every bit of it should be given out to anybody. So you always have luck in hunting. To be generous like that to all the people, hand out everything, even the hide, the ivory elk teeth, the horns, you name it, even the dew claws, make bells out of them. Hand them out to everyone. And then you'll be a successful hunter for the rest of your life, or a successful fisherman if you come from a West or East Coast tribe. You know, those types of generosity, Creator sees. He sees that you are a caring, compassionate, empathetic person that is there to do his work. You know, one of the teachings I learned in society is, one, we work for Creator. Two, we work for the people. And we don't ask for nothing. We just, when things come to us, it's Creator sending them to help them. Because somebody stepped up a long time ago and helped me. So this is just paying it forward. That's what we get out of it. You know, this is just doing Creator's work is a special blessing. And that hunting transfer that I had since I was a boy has fed my children, grandchildren, and now I look at my youngest daughter, Kristen, and she's doing a study on indigenous foods and healthy traditional foods. You know, red wieners and boiled eggs and fry bread and boiled potatoes are not traditional foods. You know, that seems like that's the thing nowadays, but our traditional foods are real meat, ine, buffalo, our elk, panoka, and you know, our berry soup and our roots, our peppermint tea. Those are real traditional foods. And those are the foods that keep us from getting sick, keep us from getting diabetes, obesity, cancers, mental illness. Because when you're putting clean things in your body, you know, you're going to be healthy inside and out. You're out there also hunting and breathing in fresh air. You know, you're becoming a very kind, humble person from being out there, being a hunter. And it doesn't matter if you're a bad hunter. Get out there, try hard at everything in life, because hunting someday will bless you with some hunting will always bless you with the food that you need for your family if you are meeting Creator in a good way. You know, meeting him halfway when you're hunting. Don't go out there thinking like you're a big game hunter, that you got to shoot the thing with the biggest horns and all that. You remember that animal is presenting itself to feed your family. You know, when I hunt buffalo, I was taught something really amazing, is to offer my pipe to that herd of buffalo and to ask one of them to separate itself for the people. And the first time I did that, I was like in total shock, total awe, because there's this herd of 300 buffalo. And after I put my pipe down, that one lone 3-year-old, really tender buffalo came out and came right into shooting range. And we took it, and we took it in a good way with a group of youth. They got to learn the traditional way of dressing an animal, and learn the lessons on how you don't waste and what every bit is used for. So that was a really special lesson, and I know in each tribe you all have those lessons when it comes to hunting. Those are very important to build strong, healthy young men, because our young men, our men, even older men, they have lost that due to residential school, boarding schools, military, things like that. The government took that away from us. But we have all that knowledge here. All we have to do is share it and bring it back, and we can make healthy, strong men again.
And thank you. And that's what I see my cousin doing with this film. Sovereignty and your own self-esteem, or your own integrity from within. It's just doing the best we can. No, we're not perfect. Doing the best we can by telling our side of the story, so that the future generations can live better, so that the future generations don't have to get fracked, get oil companies digging around, building man camps, those kind of things. We don't. So today is Wellness Wednesday. We are here on the Blackfeet Reservation. We are in the midst of the Blackfeet tribe is funded a film with all Blackfeet actors and actresses, and it's just badass. It's just so, you guys are just so awesome. We're just so excited. So in our remaining minutes, before I ask you to kind of give me your summary and your close, I'll today I slept. It was hard to unwind. We had so much goodness yesterday. We had so much goodness going on, but when I woke up, I felt like I was living in a new day where our people were honoring their ancestors. And somehow I don't want to say indebted to our, well, like we were walking on our ancestors' prayers. And there's just been so much positive, even last night my pet fox came and visited, the pet skunks were visiting, and they were all kind of, like when Indians go like this, like they say, you're doing good. I just felt like there was that blessing to us. And what kind of summary words would you like to give our audience, Craig? Just anything you'd like to say, like around wellness or around what you're doing. What would be your closing comments?
I would say since it's ceremonial season, summertime is a ceremony almost every other day. Treat each other like they're your relative. Treat each other like they're your relative that you love. And treat all the children that you see. If you see them being pitiful and need something, help them. Help anyone. Because you know what? It's going to turn around. They're going to make it. And try hard. Don't give up. And be bold. Take risks in life. This was a risk for me in life to totally change careers from being a consultant to a filmmaker at this age. But I thought it was important to get the right message out, to get the truth out. And, be bold, be brave. There's no longer a time where we should sit back and be passive and cower to anyone. We are a strong people once again. And we got to take what's good in the Western world, put it with our traditional world, and then just make some things happen.
Gakima. Gakima, he says. So, it's your birthright to thrive and have joy. I'm going to repeat that. It's your birthright to thrive and to have joy. So as we turn to summer, as we turn to the ceremonies, as we turn to the powwows, as we turn to the dancing, as we turn to the root digging, as we turn to the hunting, as we turn to the fishing. There's some good fishing going on. Craig would always bring fish to my mom. You guys all know my mom. And she'd always just squeal. Like, mom squeals like, fresh fish. And I know he always does that. So do our other relatives. But on Wellness Wednesday, take some quiet time. Like, look at all this green grass around us. Lay on the ground. Get grounded. Just look up at the clouds. And with the things that you see in the clouds, we want you to go get the cameras and we want you to make a film about your truths, about your independence, about your sovereignty, about your treaties, about your values. And while you're doing it, I guess, like, forgive. Everyone's transformed in these 3 years. Let them all start on new ground. Forgiving the unforgivable, and just let them start in a new way. So with that, we're going to close out, or we say in our language, Kitakito Matsuno, and it just means that we'll see you later. In Kitsikakobim, that means that we love you, and we'll see you next Wednesday. So Kitakito Matsuno.